Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of The Flock Rundown. The Ravens just finished day 15 of training camp. It's the last practice until their preseason game on Friday. And we did have a key player return. Odafe Oweh was back at practice today after that sprained ankle, so he only missed one practice. Not a big deal. Harbaugh said it wasn't serious anyway. Now we definitely have that confirmation because he was back at practice today. Still no Bateman, still no Tylan Linderbaum. Both are said to not be serious injuries at all. I know they're really keeping Tylan Linderbaum out. It sounds like he's going to be out for a couple weeks, actually. We'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about Ben Cleveland. But it doesn't seem serious. I think they're just being cautionary with his soft tissue. And then Bateman's got a little bit of a rib soreness, so they're holding him out still, but would love to have him back soon. I definitely don't like him being in and out of practice when we're trying to make him a focal point of the offense and build that chemistry with Lamar. So hopefully Rashad can get back soon. Not quite as worried about Tylan Linderbaum unless that injury is more serious than we think, but I'm not as worried about him needing the work to build chemistry with the guys or anything like that. It's definitely not as crucial as Rashad Bateman getting back to catch some passes from Lamar. We did get some Maulet news. He's having a knee procedure. He's getting his knee scoped. So like we thought, he is going to be out for a good bit, probably through September is what I'm hearing right now. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, it depends on a lot of different variables for recovery time, but it seems like he's going to miss the start of the season. The good news is he's not out long term. It's not season ending. It's just going to miss a first chunk of that season. And more good news is we got the deepest secondary and cornerback room that we've had in a long time, maybe ever. So I think we can absorb this blow. That slot role does open up a bit for other guys. I think our Darius Washington's role just increased. We've been talking a lot about him throughout this offseason. I think he can play a lot of slot. You got Pepe Williams, who I think has a way better chance of making the team now. Not that I said he wasn't going to make the team, but we were so deep at corner that I was possibly thinking a guy like Pepe could get cut. Like we could have a surprise cut. But with the Maulet injury, I don't really see that being the case. I think Pepe is going to make the team. I think our Darius and him have a bigger role. I think Marlon Humphrey's going to play more slot. We have a lot of options, and it's not like Arthur Maulet was a every down slot corner for us anyway. That's where he played. That's where he thrived, blitzing and playing in the slot, but he wasn't out there every play. He was rotating in as well, so it's not a huge blow, and especially him not being out for the entire season or anything like that. I'm not worried about it. Wishing you a speedy recovery, Arthur Maulet, and we'll see you soon. Harbaugh did say that Lamar Jackson will not play in the preseason game Friday, and I would imagine that probably means Derrick Henry or some other older established vets. But for the most part, a lot of starters are going to play throughout the preseason because our team is fairly young. We're going to get a good look at most of these guys throughout the preseason, and I think we'll have a much better understanding of where this team stands, where this roster stands. We know we got a good team, obviously, but I just mean the details, the ins and outs of who's the starting offensive line, who's locked to be that wide receiver 5, 6, are we carrying 4 or 5 running backs, who's the RB3? There's a lot of questions that we're going to see play out throughout this preseason, and I think we're going to get a lot of answers in the coming weeks, so excited for that. Back to practice today, Lamar Jackson was locked in, super accurate today. Hit Zay Flowers on a slot fade touchdown. Zay's been balling practice after practice right now. He also was very active with Tylan Wallace and Charlie Kohler. We had another standout practice from Owen Wright. Tylan Wallace and Owen Wright seem to just keep popping up every practice or so. I think these are definitely standouts throughout training camp. Now we do need to see this translate into the preseason games, it's always a combination. It's not just what's going on at training camp. So you're going to have to step up on the field as well. And I think we know what we have with some of these guys. I mean, we've seen Tylan Wallace play in multiple preseasons, and he's gotten some key regular season minutes as well and special teams minutes. So I think we kind of know what we have with Tylan Wallace, and he definitely has a role in this team. I saw some comments from the last video saying that we got to give Tylan a premier chance to start and things like that. I think he has been given those chances. And the fact that he's not our wide receiver 1 or 2 tells me that he's just not quite as talented and as impactful as a guy like Zay or Rashad Bateman is. But it doesn't mean that Tylan Wallace isn't going to make some key third down conversions and catch a touchdown or 2 throughout the season and get a couple 100 yards receiving and, run a punt back for the win. There's so many roles you could play. That's still an incredible career and incredible impact on a NFL franchise. So I never want to discredit guys like that. If I'm talking about a depth guy or something like Tylan Wallace, that's still a great accomplishment. That's still a very important piece of the team. It is a team sport. Football is one of the biggest team sports. It's not just one guy out there. If it was just one guy, I'm sure Lamar would have 4 Super Bowls already. You know what I mean? It's not just him. There's a lot of moving parts. And I think that's always why I'm so interested in the off seasons and the preseason, because that's really where you're seeing who's rising to the top to be able to make the team, to be able to hopefully contribute throughout the regular season. A guy like Owen Wright is a perfect example, because that's a guy that hasn't played a lot of meaningful minutes, but is having a great camp. Now, if he can go and translate that onto the field on Friday, let's say, and make some plays like Keaton Mitchell was making last year or something, then you earn a spot. And with Keaton Mitchell down in the regular season, Owen Wright could end up getting some key opportunities in the regular season. Same with a guy like Rasheen Ali, who we haven't been hearing quite as much in camp. But what if he explodes in the preseason and is just breaking out big play after big play? These preseason games matter a ton for these depth guys, and I think it's some of the most interesting battles. These guys are fighting for a career, for a chance to maybe not even just play for Baltimore, but put some good tape out there so they can get picked up by another team. So you're going to see some guys fighting out there, and I can't wait to watch, can't wait to talk about it with you guys. One guy who's definitely playing in the preseason game, but maybe not at the position that we all thought he would be at the beginning of the season, and that is Ben Cleveland. He's going to end up being our starting center in the preseason and get quite a bit of center looks. Harbaugh said over the next 2 weeks we're going to see a lot of Ben Cleveland at center. So that tells me also that Tyler Linderbaum is not about to come back. I think he's going to be out for a few more weeks. And they got Ben Cleveland at center. A reporter today asked Harbaugh if Ben Cleveland at center was because he's not performing well at right guard, or are they just moving everyone around to get some different looks? And Harbaugh said a little bit of both. So it's what we all kind of thought, right? Like, they're moving Ben Cleveland to center. That's not a great sign that he's a lock at right guard or even a front runner at right guard, because why in the world would you be taking away your starting right guard's reps to move him to center? So I think Ben Cleveland's role, if he can make the team, is to kind of be a versatile backup, play some guard, left or right if needed, play some center in an emergency situation. And that's a good way to make the team if you can play all those positions. So by Ben Cleveland showing his versatility, I feel like he's going to make the team, just not in a starting role. And it's a little bit surprising at the beginning of the year. I thought this was Ben Cleveland's chance by far to step up and become the starting right guard. But year after year, he's not able to kind of capitalize and take that position over. So we'll see. I mean, is it Falele at right guard? That's interesting to see too, So I don't know. I'll definitely be zoned in on this offensive line in this preseason game. Now, I'm not expecting Ben Cleveland at center to be Tyler Linderbaum by any means at all. He's not that guy, and he doesn't play center. So Ben Cleveland at center, not judging him a ton there, but if he does get some right guard or left guard snaps, I'm definitely glued into that. I want to see how Falele's performing. We're going to get a look at Roger Rosengarten at right tackle. And I think these game reps are going to tell us a lot about what's going on. It'll be interesting to watch this play out. We're so close to the first preseason game. We get some real live Ravens football. I can't wait. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim there where the sense can't tame the untamed.